Okay, so this video is going to cover experimental and theoretical probability. So let's look at simple events just as a review. A simple event is where only one item is being measured. So we're looking at rolling an even number on a die or flipping a heads. We're only doing one thing. Theoretical probability is what we would expect to happen in an ideal world. And experimental probability is what actually happened in the experiment. So experimental is more you doing the experiment. Theoretical is what would we expect. Remember that when you're finding probability, you always simplify your answer. All right, so let's look at some examples. So simple event would be flipping tails on a coin. So the probability of that is 1/2. Then rolling an even number, the probability of that is 1/2. I want you to actually do both of these 10 times to see what would happen and write down your experimental probability. Okay, so compound events is when more than one item is being measured. When you see the word and, that means both of the events must happen and you're going to multiply the probabilities. When you see the word or, that means either one of the events can happen and you're going to add the probabilities. So, compound event when we have flipping tails on a coin or rolling an even number, we're going to multiply. So we have 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4 or 25%. Then rolling two odd numbers, we'd have 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4 or 25%. So let's look at making predictions using those. So making predictions, we're going to take our original part that's shown in our word problem and put it over the original total, and we're going to make it equal to the new part over the new total. So we're going to set up a proportion. So this problem says Mrs. Eckert randomly selects 40 students. Out of them, 8 are wearing watches. Using this data, if she selects 120 students, how many would you expect to be wearing watches? So if you look at how I solved this, I did 8 over 40 equals x over 120. So I know that 40 times 3 is 120. So that's why I can multiply the numerator and denominator by 3 to get my new part of my proportion. So 8 times 3 would be 24 students. A lot of the probability problems you're going to see with experimental or theoretical probability is going to be to make predictions. All right, so here is a problem that was actually on a STAR test last year, a 7th grade STAR test, not an 8th grade STAR test. All of probability is a 7th grade thing, so you won't be tested over it in a STAR test. So this says Vincent flipped 3 coins during a probability experiment. The outcomes of the first 40 trials are shown in the table. Based on the information in the table and exactly how many of the next 120 trials will the outcome be exactly 2 coins showing heads. So first we need to look at which part of the table we are looking at, and that's going to be this one right here because it says exactly 2 heads. And this one right here shows 2 heads. So if we set it up, we're going to have 16 over 40 equals x over 120. So just like the previous problem, we can multiply 40 times 3 to get 120. So we can do 16 times 3 to get 48. So the correct answer would be D.